go to several major vendors of property management systems. There are really only two in the marketplace today. The Blue Green just converted all of their homegrown systems. They went on timeshare where they just went live a couple of months ago. And so rather than building something from scratch and supporting it, they have now subscribed to timeshareware. Grand Pacific Resorts is part of SPI. They have the SPI product running their properties. Both of those products take the process from sales and marketing, the initial timeshare sale, that moves on to the maintenance fee billing and collections. It also offers that within the package, and property management itself, the front desk operations, check-in, check-out, reservations, and those kinds of things. So both of those packages are fully integrated from the beginning of the process right through the end of the process, and that is a challenge in the industry. Mm-hmm.
The big brands, when it comes to software, do it all in-house. They have their own, right?
Right, they do. They do. But, from time to time, even the big brands start looking at some of these packages and, either acquiring the source code, which is what Hilton did, and then modified it to fit their own needs. Marriott did the same thing. Wyndham, I think, is kind of a combination of writing their own stuff and modifying. I think they bought SPI, I'm not sure. But it gives them a jump start on, the whole process. And then they just customize it to fit their own specific needs and marketing approaches, etc.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, and anything else? So you said that let me just go back. You said that the property management is sometimes outsourced, especially when it comes to smaller independents. You said that communications with owners are outsourced to sort of electronic mail houses. And again, that's for the smaller players, not for the big brands, I'm assuming.
Not even the big brands do. Hilton outsources all of their electronic communications to an electronic mail house. They just send files. They don't produce anything internally in terms of the actual mail piece. It's all outsourced. They all do that. There's a large company in the Miami area. It's called Nordis, Nordis.
Yeah.
Nordis provides probably services to 90% of all timeshare, whether it's branded or independent. They're kind of agnostic. They understand what needs to be done for these homeowners associations. So they offer not only an electronic mail house, but they also offer electronic voting for their annual meetings and those kinds of things. And they found a niche in the market. So they really do a great job in providing those services, and they continue to grow. Had dinner with those guys the other night, and they have successfully, they do all of the work for Wyndham, they do all of the work for Marriott, so they have these massively large owner bases, and they're making significant money.
Cool. Do you know at a very high level, how big that market size is?
Well, if you look at 9 million timeshare owners in the U.S., and they have about 90% of that market, they got a whole bunch of people. And when you look at the cost of what they're producing, they may only be making are charging $1 per owner, but there's a whole lot of owners, and that's they're making a very nice margin, because all of the postage and the paper and the printing and all of that is a direct expense, and they just tack on a few dollars on top of it. So they're doing a very nice job and a very valuable service, and they're good at it.
Okay, perfect. So that's another thing. And then software, you said normally management companies do it, but there are SPI timeshare which do it for the majority, and RCC as well. That's fine. Okay, cool. Is there anything else out
fairly dormant for the rest of the year. So the companies are finding themselves having to ramp up headcount and employees in order to deal with all of that and then decrease it in the off season. So the companies would much rather pay a cost per owner and outsource it than have to staff up and then, dismiss, etc. So there are two reasons, primary reasons why they want to do that. They're just the exposure that they have on personal information and the staffing level. The third reason that they look at those outsources is that those outsourcing companies specialize in making it easy for the customer to make their payments. The easier it is, the more efficient it is, the more likely the person is to pay. So the companies offer paying the maintenance fee via credit cards, through ACH transfers directly from bank accounts. They have systems that will allow the customer to prepay their maintenance fee on a monthly basis. They are very technology driven, and their websites make it easy for the customer to pay. And the timeshare management companies look at this outsourcing, and even the brands look at this outsourcing as a logical thing to do, because in the long run, they will end up, saving some money for the HOAs if they outsource the service, and they get better service from these companies. Other services that are outsourced, most of the timeshare companies outsource their foreclosure actions. Any legal action is all outsourced. If it's a foreclosure action, they will go to a title company such as Fidelity National Timeshare or American Title or someone else, because that is a very labor-intensive process. Lots of steps along the way, and that's what those title companies do very, very well. I don't know even Hilton outsources its foreclosures. It's just too much work to do it internally in order to keep up with that. So title work is most all the time outsourced on resale activities and on foreclosure activities. Now the developers will have their own title company for initial sales, because it's very simple. It's more of an extension of the contract process and the closing process than it is a true title company, because they're conveying inventory, they're conveying deeded interest from themselves to a customer, and they know what's on title. They can save money on title searches, etc., and they can retain the dollars as part of the title insurance premiums as a source of revenue. Other things that are sometimes outsourced, and most of the time it is communications with the owners, newsletters, billing statements, correspondence, the annual meeting notices. All of that's outsourced to electronic mail houses.
Yeah. What about stuff like software?
Well, generally the management company. Yeah, generally the management company provides the software as part of their package. There are two large players in that space, SPI and TimeshareWare. Those are the two big boys out there. They have the bulk of the business. The third company, Resort Computer Corporation, RCC, was acquired by RCI many years ago. Went through Springer Miller
Systems. So what does RCC stand for again?
Resort Computer Corporation, RCC.
Perfect. Yeah.
And they were acquired by RCI, Resort Condominiums International, the exchange company, when RCI wanted to be the full provider of all kinds of services for a new timeshare developer. That business model failed. So they disposed of RCC. They sold it to Springer Miller Systems, which is now part of PAR. PAR they didn't see the future in timeshare software. So that has now been acquired by Synergex out in California, and they're re-entering the market. That is a real challenge for the timeshare industry, is software. It's not like the hotel business where you can